Can we talk about why modern women are lonelier?
People always like to say that there's a male loneliness.
If the male loneliness epidemic is a real... The other day, this guy commented on one of my TikToks and he said,
Can we talk about why modern women are lonelier than ever? Because nobody wants to admit the real reason. I see it everywhere. Successful women with amazing careers, perfect Instagram feeds, but they're absolutely miserable and isolated. And I know because I used to be one of them. We were told that independence was everything, that we didn't need anyone, that needing people was weakness, so we built these perfect little walls around ourselves. We chose careers over relationships, being right over being loved, and proving ourselves over connecting with others. We pushed away anyone who tried to get close to us because we had to be strong. And now we're sitting in our perfectly decorated apartments, scrolling through dating apps, wondering why we feel so empty inside. We have everything modern feminism promised us, but we've never been more alone. Because the truth is, humans are wired for connection. Especially women, we need community, partnership, and deep relationships. But we've been convinced that wanting these things makes us weak or pick-me's. The loneliness epidemic isn't an accident. It's what happens when you tell women to reject everything that actually fulfills them. You can have all the success in the world, but if you don't have real connection, you have nothing.
This is what we've been saying for a while now. There's no epidemic of male loneliness. There's an epidemic of female loneliness. I've always said it. How can there be an epidemic of male loneliness when there are more women than men? There are nearly 6 million more women than men. They always come back with the same arguments. That women are more educated, that they're financially independent, that they have friends. But a woman being alone doesn't just mean she doesn't have friends or money. It means she doesn't have a man in her life. Meanwhile, when a man has a job, stability, and a social life, he still gets labeled as a lonely man. Why doesn't that same logic apply to women? The modern woman keeps pushing the boss lady narrative, thinking she doesn't need anyone. The result is clear. They're ending up more alone than the sun at noon.
People always like to say that there's a male loneliness epidemic. I don't see it. I seriously don't see it. I see a female loneliness epidemic. You know why? We all know how social media practically destroyed our strength to commitment to only one person, because social media is like a catalog where you can buy people from. You search by category, you always look who is the best, what is the best new version that you can get, and then especially men, they will get it. They don't think they will get it. They will text you and be like, oh, you're so special and blah, blah, blah. But then again, they be hitting on other women who are in your league just to see who is going to fall for it and give them their validation, because validation is a hell of a drug these days. Everyone is posting something to get validation. Even I do. You know, we're all addicted to validation from the outside, but never from the inside. Not inside in a sense of ourselves, but inside in the sense of the people in our direct circle. Because if you truly love someone, will only need their validation. The other ones won't matter to you. But so many men these days might be like men in their teenage years, like younger boys, or men who are basically boomers. They all have the issue that they think the validation of a loved one is not enough. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna cheat, period. They're gonna cheat, and then they wonder why will no one stay with me? Because you have not stayed with them either, man. Like, get a grip. Play stupid game, win stupid prizes.
Fuck up, you crazy!
This woman talks a lot, but she doesn't really say anything. In the real world, men talk to multiple women because that's how the process works. A man has to put himself out there, try, fail, and try again. It's part of his role. And when a man finds a woman he genuinely likes, he usually looks for stability and commitment without wasting time. The problem today is that a lot of women are doing the exact same thing, but driven purely by emotion. They get attention from several men, go out with multiple guys, and choose the one who gives them the biggest adrenaline rush, completely ignoring values, intent, and consistency. They end up with the Chad, the same guy who won't commit. And when that story goes south, instead of owning their choices, they blame all men. The market doesn't have morals, it has rules. Those who move smart and understand the game win. Those who choose poorly and dodge responsibility lose.
Women.
If the male loneliness epidemic is a real thing, then that means evolution is working the way it's supposed to work. Through natural selection, we women as a whole are choosing to leave behind the losers, and we are only picking the best. There's no reason why we should get upset about this. We should be happy and celebrate because Mother Nature is doing what it needs to do.
The other day, this guy commented on one of my TikToks and he said, I've been seeing so many single moms with these babies on their hips. Like, why are there so many single moms with infants or babies or mothers who are single and pregnant? Like, I keep seeing it pop up more and more. Like, why is this being normalized? Like, what's this new trend? Do you want to know what's happening, sir? Men, that's what's happening. Do you really honestly think that it is convenient for women to be single and pregnant, single with a newborn, single with an infant? Because let me tell you, it's not. It's not our first choice, okay? It's not a fun little thing we do. Pregnancy, postpartum, and having an infant is one of the most vulnerable times in a woman's life. Do you really think that we want to spend that alone? Do you think we really want to raise babies alone? We don't, okay? Perhaps to me, I would have had a supportive, kind, good partner to help me through my pregnancy, to help me through postpartum, to help me raise my baby. Like, do you think I want to be a single mother with an infant on my hip? Because let me tell you, it wasn't my first choice. Maybe you should look at the men who are cheating on their wives while they're pregnant, cheating on their wives while they're postpartum, abandoning their children, abandoning their families, divorcing their wives, getting women pregnant and having zero responsibility and doing zero to help or be involved in their family's life. Because they are the reason why it is so prevalent. I'm going to tell you that right now. These women aren't just waking up 6 months pregnant and being like, oh, you know what? I'm going to leave my husband. I think I'm just going to divorce him. Or with an infant on their hip, just like, you know what? I'm going to get back out in the dating world. Like, no, this isn't our first choice, let me tell you.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Responsibility has become kryptonite for many modern women. No one is denying that there are irresponsible men out there, but there are also committed men, present fathers, and great providers. The real issue is that today's woman lives in a state of constant dissatisfaction. Science backs this up clearly. Postpartum hormonal changes, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol going wild, turn her into a bomb of extreme sensitivity during the first 6 months. Studies show a sharp drop in marital satisfaction during that period, with heightened irritability, postpartum depression, and an irrational craving for conflict. That's when a man has to develop enormous patience to hold the marriage together. Because no good father wants to walk away from his home, miss his children's early years, or see his legacy destroyed. But today's woman, poisoned by feminism and hypergamy, will use any excuse, no matter how small, to throw in the towel and blame you.
Many years from now, there is going to be a quiet crisis, loneliness, in women especially. Not because women failed, not because they weren't capable or intelligent, but because they were handed a script or a blueprint that left out the consequences. Be self-sufficient, put your career first, you don't need a man. So they followed it. They pushed love down the line. They delayed the family. They treated commitment like something that could always wait until it didn't. Fast forward a few years later. You're older, no partner, no children, no legacy, just some noise to fill that silence. Meanwhile, your grandmothers had way fewer choices, but way stronger direction. They built families, they built the roots, they built something bigger than themselves. And this generation, Swapped it all for convenience. Legacy for pleasure. Meaning for freedom without structure. And here's the part that nobody likes to talk about. The men that they overlooked in their 20s, they didn't just vanish. They were building, failing, learning, becoming disciplined, and becoming men. Men don't peak early. They compound with time. Value grows with time and skill and responsibility. Women don't gain leverage by delaying everything. That is not cruelty. That is reality. Every decision comes with a cost. Modern narratives today did not remove the bill. They just postponed it. And the outcome is usually the same. Distractions instead of connection. Comfort instead of intimacy. And independence without fulfillment. This is not about going backward. It's about correcting the course. We don't need less ambition. We need stronger values, commitment, family, masculine leadership, feminine devotion, and a shared purpose. Because freedom without foundation doesn't liberate. It isolates you completely. And tradition wasn't the problem. Abandoning it was.
Exactly. When a woman abandons her instincts and tries to behave like a man, she ends up realizing she's not happy. The worst part is that realization almost always comes after 30, when the wall has already hit. And as we all know, the wall doesn't forgive. In her 20s, she rejected the good man who was ready to commit, put him in the friend zone, or hit him with the "it's not the right time." Now that same man, in his prime, 28 to 40, with money, stability, discipline, a solid physique, and a leadership mindset, no longer looks toward women his age. Why? Because biology doesn't lie. A high-value man looks younger, and a hypergamous woman looks older. After 35, the options vanish like smoke. High-value men have already built their kingdom and choose young, fertile women without heavy emotional baggage. It's not cruelty, it's natural selection in action. The wall doesn't forgive.
Did you know that men have a 600% higher chance of leaving women when we're on our deathbeds? That they will see us suffering in our last moments and walk away because we're not providing them with pum pum. Are you aware of that? I learned this recently, and I'm not saying that I'm surprised, but I am saying, wow. Wow. These are the same men that ask us why we're single, why we take long to pick somebody to mate with. I don't know, Stephen. Maybe it's the fact that I don't want to have a child with someone who doesn't give a fuck if I'm on my last breath. Maybe I want to vet this person long enough to ensure they are not part of that 600 percentile. Maybe I'd rather be by myself before I invest my time and energy and worth and livelihood and lineage into someone who just sees me as a conquest. I don't know. Does that sound like a reasonable idea?
This is the first time in history where the birth rates have dropped and women don't want to get married anymore. But this is also the first time in history where women no longer financially need to depend on a man. Statistically speaking, girls outperform boys. There are far more women with advanced educational degrees than there are men now. Even with the unequal wage gap, women are still figuring out ways to make more money than men. Before, men could use money to attract women, but it's more than that now, because now we're all on an equal playing field. We don't actually need you for income. We need to know that you're a good person. We need to know that you are self-sufficient, that you are kind, you are emotionally intelligent, that you've gone to therapy, that you have a personality. You have hobbies, you have things that make you interesting. What you come to realize is that men have focused so much on the exterior of the things that they can own that they've done no work on the inside. So regardless if you are deemed an attractive male in the society with the financial income, if you suck on the inside, no matter what you have on the exterior, doesn't make you a better person internally. And there have been scientific studies that men live longer and live healthier lives when married, whereas women, we gain no benefits. And so really in a partnership, women should really be interviewing men because it actually hurts us than them.
Brother, that first woman is the classic example of someone who only sees the glass half empty and dramatizes everything to justify her fear of commitment. Sure, there are stats about men walking away on their deathbeds, but stepping outside can kill you 9 out of 10 ways too, and nobody stops living because of it. Relationships aren't an eternal guarantee for anyone, man or woman, but that doesn't make them worthless. A relationship is legacy, children, shared history, memories. It's about having lived. As we see in many cases here, even being the best man doesn't guarantee your woman won't get bored of you. The second woman says they get nothing from marriage because now they're independent and men are bad people on the inside. Really? Just look at the Forbes list. Over half of the richest women on the planet got there through divorce or inheritance from marriage, not because of their so-called independent careers. Current studies show the average woman today is poorer than she was 30 years ago, while historically, marriage has been the biggest transfer of wealth and security to women. A married man works more hours, climbs the career ladder faster, earns more money, and sacrifices his health to provide. That's what truly fuels his financial success. Meanwhile, she stays home thinking money just magically appears. But when the man is no longer around, she realizes that her independence was a fragile illusion. She ends up alone, poorer, and behind the wall, wondering where it all went.
Have you ever wondered why there's a male loneliness epidemic, but there isn't a female epidemic? Shouldn't we be just as lonely? Aren't there our counterparts? It's actually because we aren't lonely. In fact, most of us felt lonelier when we were with you. The other part of this is women like being around other women. Y'all don't even like being around each other. And in our loneliness, after we realized how many times you guys were going to keep disappointing us, we found ways to be fulfilled. And in that, we realized, hey, this is a lot more peaceful. What did you guys do? You opted out and you numbed. You leaned into your porn addiction. You never emotionally evolved. You never developed any type of emotional skills to cope with all of the pain, all of the shame, all of the inadequacy that you feel. You men are struggling. And this is why I actually can't believe that men aren't against the patriarchy, because you are suffering in the patriarchy. You are drug addicts in the patriarchy. You are committing suicide in the patriarchy. You cannot talk about your feelings because of the patriarchy. You kept getting lonelier and lonelier. And let me tell you, loneliness is what happens when you refuse to grow, but still expected to be loved. And women are done. And you want to know what our result is we don't have a loneliness epidemic. We have an entire epidemic where women are realizing that they have much less labor, where they are realizing that they have much more peace, where they aren't emotionally dysregulated because they're not being abused. And women built emotional skills to deal with your abuse. And now look what happened is we have out-evolved you to the point where so many women are like, this is actually better, but we are not the ones that are lonely. You are, and that should be a problem to you.
If your friend goes to sleep with her man, you're not going with them. You're left alone. You can have friends, a career, hobbies, and a cat. But without a partner, you're still alone. Let's not romanticize it. A cat doesn't replace a husband or a family. What's interesting is the double standard. A man can have friends, a job, and a sense of purpose, and yet he's still labeled as lonely and used as proof of a so-called male loneliness epidemic. But the numbers say otherwise. In the US, there are nearly 6 million more women than men, and if you factor in gay men, the proportion of single women gets even higher. So how is it possible that the narrative is still pushing this idea of a male loneliness epidemic? The data doesn't add up. As always, responsibility is kryptonite for women.
I've been single for my entire adult life. I've just turned 32 and my last boyfriend was about 15 years ago, and I've never had the experience of someone wanting to spend the rest of their life with me, laying in bed next to me, to weddings, cooking me dinner when I get home. I've never had anybody take me on a date, and that often makes me feel like I've failed at life. I've had so many thoughts of what I would do if I had a partner, like going on holiday, walking hand in hand down the street with them, someone that isn't embarrassed to be with me, cooking at home together. I see all these videos of people doing this when they're in a relationship and it looks fun. And then there's people on the other side who say it's not all it's cracked up to be, but they've also got to experience that. And when you don't get to experience that, it just feels like you're missing out. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to experience that kind of love with someone, but I just wanted other people to know that they're not alone. You can feel so lonely and like you're the only one that's going through that emotion, but there are a lot of people out there that are in the same boat. Not being able to experience that kind of love with someone can make you feel even more alone. And I just wanted people to know that you aren't alone.
I'm 36, I'm single, and unfortunately I'm attracted to men. Dating has been terrible. Most men, I tell them exactly what I need and what I'm wanting from them. Most of it is just better communication. That's literally it. Like, the bar is so low, and men can't even do that. It's like I'm holding the door open for them, and I'm like, hey, like, this is exactly what I need and what I'm wanting from you. and they just stand there, like staring at the door. It's so tiring and it's so exhausting. Like, I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm like, why is this so hard for you? I literally told you what I wanted and what I'm needing. I like wrote it out and you can't even comprehend that. So that's where I'm at. I do have a date next weekend with a guy who has great communication. He's 37. Also, age does not matter. I've dated 40-year-olds who, dude, they're just dumb. So I'm hoping, no, I have a feeling this guy is going to be great. I just hope that we have the connection that I need and want, and that he needs and wants. But like the last 2 guys I've dated, I've literally been like, this is what I need. This is what I'm wanting. Like, you need better communication. And also, I'm so blunt these days, like straightforward, like they're like beating around the bush and I'm like, oh, so you're canceling our date? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I would like for you to take the initiative to plan another date. Like, why don't you do that? Like, it's fine if you need to cancel, but just plan the next date. And then they don't. And then they ignore that text and they're like, oh, you got a new tattoo? I want to see. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about my tattoo. What I care about is you planning the next date. And then you don't. So now I'm not going to talk to you. Now I'm going to ghost you. Sorry, not sorry.
You know why some women manage to get a man to put in real effort for them? Because they carry themselves like ladies. When you go on a date and see a woman with a septum ring, covered in tattoos, even if she behaves well, the first impression she gives off is that of an easy woman. The problem is that a lot of women demand effort from men while giving off nothing that inspires effort in return. And that contradiction is starting to take its toll. Today, we're seeing millions of women hitting the wall, and the statistics had already warned us. By 2030, nearly half of women in their 30s will be single. It wasn't a threat, it was a prediction based on real patterns. Men stop chasing because there's nothing left to chase. The dating market is broken, and this kind of situation keeps happening over and over again. Watch the next video and tell me if it's not exactly the same thing.
Okay, so I just want Can I tell you how thankful I am? Well, I am still single at 33 years old. I have successfully avoided the divorce era because in the past week, I have talked to 4 people who have been divorced and or going through a divorce. 4. I've never been married. I have no kids. I don't bring baggage from relationship to relationship because I work on myself before I get into another relationship. And I am so happy about that. And the people who are divorced that I'm talking to, they all say generally the same thing. Like, they ignored flags in the beginning. They just went with it because that's what you were supposed to do. And it was very, very like surface level, and they just like settled. And now these people are looking for exactly what I am looking for, but I have less baggage than them. And I feel like that is a win in my book.
I think one of the reasons that me and so many women in their 30s are single is because we don't want to train men. I was talking to my girlfriend the other day about this guy that I've been talking to who isn't quite acting as I would expect. And she was like, oh, that's trainable. That's not necessarily a deal breaker. Sometimes they just need a little bit of coaching. What if I don't want to be a coach? Why have we normalized training men? Why would I want to be with someone who I have to teach how to treat me? I didn't have to be trained. I have so many amazing girlfriends who didn't have to be trained. So why are we okay with the idea that we have to train our boyfriends? Now, I'm not saying that relationships don't take communication. Obviously, if you have expectations of your partner, you have to make them known. But I think the idea of training men is a modern day way of saying I can change him. And I think that leads women to settle. If I wanted to train something, I would get a dog.
Congratulations, then, go buy yourself a cat. The pattern is clear from the start. Women in their 30s and 33, single, building their idea of love based on other people's experiences, not their own. They never stop to question whether their friends might also be part of the problem, and they rarely consider that many divorces don't happen because of the man, but because of shared bad decisions. Even less do they accept that what attracts them doesn't have to align with what appeals to their social circle. Living in constant comparison and borrowing other people's stories only leads to personal failure. These women are at the ideal age to start a family, but they speak from fantasy, not reality. They wasted time chasing an unattainable ideal, ignoring responsible, hardworking men who were ready to build something real. A man isn't looking for perfection or speeches. He's looking for cooperation, support, and real actions. Everything else develops over time. Chasing the perfect human being only leads to loneliness, surrounded by nothing but broken expectations. That's why they hit the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive.
I already know that only hyper-independent, chronically single women are going to understand what I'm about to say. Do any of you guys also think about like wanting to get married one day, but then the thought of not being single one day make you so sad? Like, it makes me grieve. Like, I genuinely am like, not because I'm unhealed, but because I love being alone. Like, I just love my little quaint, peaceful, and not like I'm outside, okay? I'm a homebody. I don't leave my house. So the thought of having to like leave my house and entertain another human being, share the air that I am breathing with another human being, and like not be so independent, not like we're gonna ever lose our independence, but like we're gonna have to give a little, you know, adjust, and like not be so comfortable being alone. I can be alone, me, my dog, and God for the rest of my life, and I will be content, okay? But obviously, I know that I want to get married one day, and I'm 31, so it's like I'm reaching the age where I'm like, all right, you gotta like snap out of this. But I don't want to, but like I do. You know what I mean? Like this, do you know what I mean?
Here are my top 5 most annoying things that people say to me as a chronically single 30-year-old as I get ready for my 10th baby shower of the year. Okay, so number 1 has to be, it will happen when you're not looking. Have you seen it out there? There is not much to look at, okay? I'm certainly not looking. I don't know if I need to be blindfolded and take some extra measures, but I promise you, I'm not looking. Number 2, which is contradictory to number 1, you have to put yourself out there. And it's always followed up with, have you tried dating apps? No, Karen, I've never thought of that foreign concept before. And let me just say, the dating apps aren't it, okay? You know the leftovers that you have in the fridge that you forgot about from 2 weeks ago that are all the way in the back? That's what's on dating apps. There's nothing to look at. I also just say that I travel a lot. Like, I am gone in a new city almost every weekend. I'm out there. I'm screaming for the rooftops if you look at the rest of my TikTok. I am single, I am 30, and I am waiting for a husband. Can't say looking because I'm supposed to not be looking. Number 3 is always funny because I could tell it's like a pity one. You're so young. No, you still have so much time. I'm 30. If I wait any longer, my friends' kids will be old enough to date me. I don't have time. No, I don't. Barely got any left. It's fine. Number 4, date older. And when they say date older, you know that they mean like 10 years older, right? So now we're looking at a 40-year-old man that's single, probably hasn't been married yet, and they want me to date him, date older. Does anybody else see the red flags there? 40, never married, still single. No, I don't think dating older is gonna work, but thank you for your unsolicited advice. And then number 5, don't settle. Well, Linda, I wouldn't have made it this far if I planned on settling, now would I have? Someone, for the love of God, please help me.
Oh, hell no!
These women talk as if men are going extinct, when in reality, they're the ones who've become inaccessible. Let me explain. When all those ridiculous harassment laws started being pushed, a lot of men just decided to back off. The other day I was at a bar, not my usual scene, but I was out with some friends, and I didn't see a single young guy approach a woman, even when it was obvious the women were open to being approached. Then they complain about the usual advice, dating apps, you're still young, but once you hit 30, the reality shifts. Your friends stop going out, now they're inviting you to baby showers, and you end up being labeled the single one in the group while your social circle shrinks. Men do show up, but they're only looking for the 666 myth. 6 feet tall, 6-figure income, and a six-pack. An average guy, even a 40-year-old man in his prime, is seen as a red flag to them. That's when it becomes clear why they're still single.
So you know what's the worst part of dating when you're 31 is that either all the good ones are married, happy for you guys, but then you have this pool of guys that's either gay or they're just not worth it?
I am 30 years old and I have been single for over 12 years, so never had a real adult relationship. And I wanted to talk about something that might ring true for some people that are in the same position as me, that is from time to time feeling a bit lonely. And it's like one of those real shameful and embarrassing things to admit, I feel like, when someone asks if you're lonely. It's not something you want to admit to because you want people to believe that you're happy and you're not worried about that sort of ever looming possibility of being on your own forever, you know. And I know 30 is still really young, I know that, but when everyone around you is getting married, having babies, getting engaged, you know, moving in with partners and stuff, it can feel a bit overwhelming. And to be honest, most of the time I'm pretty good. Like, I don't sit on the feeling too much. It's only when it comes round the weekend, and luckily I have friends that their life isn't kind of revolving around their partners and their relationships. They actually want to do stuff with their friends. Luckily I have friends like that, so I don't ever feel alone, and have no plans to do anything at the weekends because they're off doing stuff with their partners. However, especially now we're in the winter and we're coming up to Christmas, it's that time of year where couples seem to show off a bit, maybe. Not show off, but they seem to be more apparent and more people getting into relationships than you noticed before. And that's what they call it, the cuffing season, I suppose. But just wanted to share my thoughts that I always try and keep myself busy over the weekends. I try and make plans, see my friends, see my family. I'm more open to the prospect of meeting someone now, whereas before I was like very shut off from the idea. And I think maybe it's like some subconscious way of being shut off, then you don't get hurt and you don't get rejected. So you reject them first, sort of situation. So maybe it's that. But I just wanted to share this, and for anyone that's feeling the same, know that you're not alone, and we can stick together.
It's not that all the good men are taken. It's that you're chasing the finished product instead of betting on a man's potential. You've forgotten that, historically, the woman was the man's suitable helper, the one who builds with him, not the one who shows up after everything's already been built. If a man treats you well, works hard, and has solid values, that's more than enough raw material to build a strong relationship. The rest gets refined over time with mutual cooperation. But nowadays, a lot of women only aim for the top 20%, where they bring nothing to the table but their presence. And that's not how anything lasting is built. Every successful couple started off incomplete, imperfect, growing together. These women refuse to be the woman who's part of the process, and then they're shocked when they hit the wall. And the wall doesn't forgive.
It's really scary now because I know I'm 34, but then at the same time, I'm looking at the guys that are my age and older, even like a couple of years. I'm like, and please, the guys on there, I'm not saying this with any hate or anything. This comes from a place of love, but I'm like, God damn, like, sir, the Sydney sun has not been kind to you. Like, have you not been using sun cream? These men look like they're sultanas. They look fucking old. They look like my grandpa. I mean, I have nothing. I'm a hairdresser background. I have nothing against the silver fox look. I love a man that's got grey hair, right? We're not even talking about that. We are talking about these guys that have like receded, gone grey, but they look so much older than what they are. And at the same time, I feel like I'm 34, but I still feel like I'm like really young at heart and I don't look my age. So can you imagine how weird that would look if I'm walking next to grandpa over here, like down the street? People are going to think I'm their fucking like mail order bride. That's going to look all sorts of wrong. So I'm in this weird, warped stage of my life at the moment when it comes to dating. It's fucking weird.
The hardest part of dating, and I'm going to say what you are not expecting, but the hardest part of dating for me is people's lack of care for themselves. I find a lot of men that try to approach me are men that have nice cars, nice watches. They go out all the time to these fancy dinners, but that's the problem. They're out 2 to 4 times a week. They're drinking every time they're out. I don't think they're drinking enough water. They're not on a routine, as in working out, taking care of their one and only vessel. Like, I see your priorities. Alcohol is really bad for us, like extremely bad. And I know I want my man to last a really long time. And I know that people have all these other icks in dating, but I think my biggest one is lack of a routine and lack of care when it comes to taking care of their bodies. And I know that maybe that's when a woman comes in and stuff like that, but generally you should already have something in place, and it's going to get better with a woman for sure. It's absolutely going to get better, but you should already have a workout in place. You should already be disciplined enough to not be out 2 to 4 times a week. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm networking or I'm entertaining clients. You could say no. You should go take care of your mental health and your health by not working after work. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at. And yeah, it's not how they come at me or this. It's I think about paying mind to these people, and then I'm always reminded they're out 2 to 4 times a week. Why would I talk to a man that doesn't put that much love and intention into his only vessel? As someone who's learned grief at a young age, I want you to stick around. I want people to be there with me and feel good during that time. And what we do now in our 30s is reflecting how we're going to feel in 10 years. And you should be really conscious of that at this age. And if you're not the one for me.
Lady, at 34, you're already looking closer to 40. You're a long way from that 10 you've assigned yourself. If you're aiming to be the typical catalog wife, the truth is harsh. That usually applies to women under 30, and that phase is well behind you now. The smartest move would be to start looking at those silver-haired or white-haired men, because the train with younger options is pulling away, and once it's gone, it doesn't come back. As for the other woman, I completely agree on one point. Working out and taking care of your body should be a priority for any man who respects himself. It's about health, energy, and longevity. But she takes it too far by turning it into a non-negotiable requirement just to even consider a man as a serious partner. Especially when she shows up with a sleeve full of tattoos for a good number of men. That alone puts you off the list automatically. In the end, everyone has their standards, but the hypocrisy and double standards are pretty obvious too.
Women.
Would you crash the fuck out if your husband got a text like this from a random number at 3 o'clock in the morning, only for you to find out that it's actually his female coworker that's texting him?
Now, if anybody texts my man that late at night, it's gonna be a problem, because ain't nothing open at that time but legs.
Mind you, this man has been away on business for the last week. So whenever you ask him like, hey, who is this? He's like, oh, that must just be Cece. Who the fuck is Cece? He's like, that's my coworker I've been telling you about. I don't remember that. I just assumed all of his coworkers are always men. I just assumed it was a man. I'm like, why is she texting you at 3 o'clock in the morning? He's like, she must just still think I'm alone in my hotel room. Huh? What?
I don't care where you at. Why do a female feel comfortable texting a married man at any time of the night? Like, you had to be entertaining her and making her feel comfortable to do something like that. She not just doing it out the blue.
I'm like, that doesn't make me feel good. That doesn't make me feel good. He's like, she's nothing to worry about. I'm like, why would she be texting you up? Like, that's notorious booty call language. He's like, yeah, she's probably just drunk.
Being drunk makes it worse, because we already know what drunk texts mean.
I'm like, why is she texting you? He's like, she's been going through that divorce I was telling you about. And, she technically doesn't want it, but he does. So she texts me randomly, asks me for advice and stuff. Advice? Oh, advice. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, text her back. He's like, no, it's late. Like, I don't want to talk to her right now. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, that's weird.
Don't nobody need no damn advice at 3 o'clock in the morning. Come on now.
He agrees that it's weird that she was texting him, but, this man pretty much is like, okay, it's time to go to bed. He rolls over and starts snoring. Mind you, I'm sitting there thinking, what is going on? Like, I feel like someone just like stole the Declaration of Independence and I'm trying to solve it at this point. And all of a sudden a little ding comes through again on his phone. And it's her once again, and she sends a question mark because obviously my husband's read receipts are on and she can see that he's read the message. So obviously she's expecting a reply.
And I would have politely replied back to her as the wife. Like, what y'all think? What y'all would have did?
This has a second part we'll get to in a moment. And yeah, maybe this brother's just really good at giving advice. So good they call him at 3 in the morning. But all jokes aside, the situation is actually pretty serious because the woman didn't just message once. She kept pushing. And let's be honest, no one calls at 3 a.m. just to ask for advice. The only kind of woman who does that is a drunk one who wants, well, you know what. Now let's check out the second part to see how this story ends.
My husband's over there snoring. Mind you, when he got home from the airport, we popped a spicy cube and we went at it for about 2 hours. So this man's not waking up. He's sound asleep. So I've got time. I start going through all their texts, and this woman is texting him a lot. I mean, she's texting a lot. Mind you, he's not replying all the time, but I mean, she's sending photos of herself. She's asking if this looks good. She's getting like one-word replies out of him, but like also, I'm just like, why are you replying at all?
People only do what you allow them to do. And I don't believe no damn text messages. People be deleting the shit that they send to make it look like that other person is crazy.
Like, it's weird to me that she thinks that she can text you like this. I'm like, does she not know that you're married? I would never text a married man, first off, but like, second off, you up at 3 o'clock in the, that's weird. That's
girl. Some of these women don't give a damn. They want what you got. So baby, they coming forward. And on top of that, he made her feel comfortable, so it ain't just her.
Weird. So I'm crashing out, and I'm like, I think about texting her back, pretending to be him, but I decide I'm just going to read all their text messages, see what's going on. It doesn't seem like he's entertaining her too much, but also he's entertaining it. Nonetheless, Mans is entertaining it. Well, I look her up on Facebook. She's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, she's a beautiful woman. But there is no sign of a husband anywhere on her Facebook profile. And I think that's pretty odd, right? Pretty odd.
Well, you have it. Now it's time to wake his ass up with a cold bed shower. Y'all drop some comments and let me know what y'all feel about this one.
Stop it. Get some help.
You already know how hypergamy works. Women tend to go for men with status, power, and stability. If that man happens to be her boss, she sees him every day, he carries himself with confidence. And on top of that, he's attractive. Then her logic is simple. Why look elsewhere when I can try to take him from someone else? That explains her persistence. Now, none of this justifies the situation. A married man has the responsibility to set clear boundaries from the start. Still, let's be honest. She's doing her part, testing the waters, going after something that was never hers to begin with. And while there's debate about privacy, whether he trusts her enough to leave his phone unlocked or she decides to check it, there's one point that isn't up for discussion. A call or message at 3 a.m. is not innocent. No one's asking for advice at that hour. What they're after is attention, or they're hoping something else happens. Now the question is for you. Why do you think she's calling him?
Women.
My husband is mad at me because he walked in and he saw that I'm making breakfast, and I told him that this was for me and my daughter, and that if he wanted some, he needed to cook for himself. I told him I was not going out of my way to make breakfast for him. This is only for me and my daughter. Like, if you're that hungry, there's a McDonald's down the street, or there's eggs in the fridge and there's bacon, and you can make it yourself. He's acting like this not cooking for him thing is brand new. I gave him a list of things that I don't do the day that we got married, and he was okay with it. So what's the problem now? I told him, if you don't want to cook, you could wait and see if there's any leftovers. If there's leftovers, go ahead and eat. If there's no leftovers, then I'm sorry. You're going to have to figure it out. But I am not going to cook for you. It's not my job to cook for you. I'm sorry. And then on top of that, I'm doing scrambled eggs. He wants a fried egg. No, I'm sorry. That's too much work for me. I'm not going to do it. Plus, he's so picky with his food that he might as well just cook it himself. So like that, he doesn't have nothing to complain about.
Tell me you don't like your husband without telling me you don't like your husband. Because at that point, you're in the middle of cooking. Like, it really doesn't take that much effort to add a little bit more food to the pan. Even if it's just a fried egg, like after you take out the scrambled eggs from the same pan, just oil it up and then throw in one more egg. It blows my mind that people really are being treated this way within a relationship. Because while I do believe that there are healthy dynamics where one person takes care of their stuff and the other person takes care of their stuff, how are you showing each other that you love each other if you're not doing things for each other? That doesn't mean that you do what you want to do for that person. That means that you do what they want you to do for them. But unfortunately, I think what's happening for a lot of women is an overcorrection. They have traditionally taken on the role in the kitchen, and now there's some women out there that are absolutely refusing anything to do with the kitchen. Even if it's feeding their children, I mean, at least this lady is cooking for her children. But could we all see this potentially, ladies, as an overcorrection that you can show love to your man by cooking him something? Just a thought.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Brothers, that woman is one step away from being told to pack her bags. Women need to understand how men see the world through the lens of usefulness. We were raised to be useful. So when a man sees that his partner doesn't take care of him or doesn't do even the simplest acts of service, he starts to see her as replaceable, and the love fades fast. How long does it take to fry an egg for your husband? The man who busts his back working for you, giving his all so you don't lack anything. That's why more and more men are choosing women who work, split expenses, and share the responsibilities at home. Each one bringing something real to the table, not just making demands. Women today don't have any excuse to stay at home if they're not even willing to cook a hot meal for the man who supports them. Not even a simple breakfast before he heads out to earn for the family. That's why men leave them without a second thought.
Do you know women's cortisol levels drop 35% when they've been living by themselves for 3 months or longer? This is done by research by Joe Dispenza, and I can tell you, like, after being in partnership and living with men for so many years now, and now living on my own in my own apartment, I have never felt peace like this in my life. And this is not a slander against men or anything. I'm just telling you, the peace that I feel right now is unmatched. I feel like I can think. I feel like when I'm out in public, I'm more relaxed. I'm walking more confidently. I'm walking slower. I feel clearer about what I want to do with my future. I know what I need to do with my day. I can work longer hours because I'm not so stressed out and caught up in somebody else's mood and what somebody else expects of me. I don't feel like I'm not enough. And that's always how I feel in partnership with a man, especially when I'm living with him. I never feel like I can fully relax at home. I love to cry for no reason. Like, I just cry on a regular basis, and not because I'm sad, but just because I enjoy it. And so, like, I like to be able to do that when I'm home. And I realize when I cry more often, I'm more in touch with my feelings, and I let myself just laugh and whatever. Like, I don't feel as emotionally constipated like I do in a partnership. And I feel like then when I'm in public, I'm a lot more emotionally regulated and happy in life. Sure, was there an initial detox? Like, I felt super anxious the first day or day and a half, and I cried a lot. It's like adjusting to be on your own again. But I swear that like third or fourth day, I was like, oh my God, the clouds have cleared. Like, I'm not angry all the time anymore. Like, as you've seen on my other content, like being angry, like I forgave the guy that cheated on me. I don't care anymore. I'm moving upward and onward. Like, I feel so good. It's just, I just think women have been sold this lie that we need men and men make us happier. Cause you cannot contest the way that you feel when you're by yourself. As a woman, it feels just euphoric. And the last time I was by myself, it was after another breakup, and I was traveling around the world, and I equated it to just, living off my savings and traveling and, not having any obligations or being in Thailand. But I think it was just being alone. That's why I was so happy. And what's crazy too is when I was in a relationship before, like I would always be thinking like, oh, I need to go do social stuff. I like this obligation, like, okay, I need to go make friends. Now I don't care. Like, I feel so happy just not doing anything and going and doing stuff on my own. And
I'm naturally wanting to just go to, I went to a Zumba class today and saw a girl I hadn't seen in forever. And we're like, oh, let's meet up and whatever. Like, things just happen more naturally. They're not as forced. And I don't feel this constant rumination in my head that I felt when I was living with a partner. And if you want to watch the whole video of this, it's Why Women Who Live Alone Are the Happiest by Joe Dispenza. Look that up on YouTube. It will completely change your mindset.
I've just been thinking how amazing my life has become the last 4 years, because I finally am not thinking about a man, like, at all. I don't cater my life to a man, and I only allow individuals that are respectful and kind, and I ignore and completely cut off the toxic individuals. Men, in a lot of ways, are very toxic to a woman's life. They emotionally manipulate you, they waste your time, and they play with your emotions. When you look back on your life, ladies, I promise you a lot of that time you spend with men, you're going to realize you wish you hadn't. You're going to wish you put that into playing the violin, starting a business, becoming an artist, getting your own place so that you can be the boss of your own life, having your own finances, your own car, get your own stuff. The days of finding a provider man are over. This isn't the 1950s. That way, a man has nothing to offer you except for one thing, real love. And that's going to be hard to find. But in the future, it's up to us women to find only higher conscious individuals to mate with. And right now, a lot of you are still blind to the manipulation games, are still getting your time wasted, are still cooking and cleaning for these men who give you nothing in return, who show you fake love while they're looking around like the wild animals and lower conscious humans they still are. We are reaching a point where the men need to step up their game because we're growing and expanding. Everybody is growing rapidly right now. And women are not tolerating any form of disrespect, rudeness, cruelty, aggressiveness, or time wasting from a man. And a lot of women will choose to be single because we have many ways to fill our time with company, with our business, with real people who love us. We don't feel so empty.
The peace that woman claims to feel living alone is the same peace a man feels when he's alone. His space, his silence, and the absence of constant complaints. But it's important to tell the difference. One thing is genuinely enjoying peace and quiet, and another is using it as a cover to justify bitterness. Because that second woman isn't speaking from peace, she's speaking from resentment. Her words are full of anger toward men, and that almost always comes from one clear place. She couldn't hold on to any of them. She's not talking to married women to help them. She's speaking from her own personal misery. And here's an uncomfortable truth. The wall doesn't forgive. When many women hit 35 and start noticing that the market doesn't respond the same way, they change the narrative and say they're happier single. But deep down, it's not real happiness. It's comparison. It's envy toward the women who did build a home with a man who loves and respects them. And that envy, when it goes unacknowledged, turns into contempt, and it starts to eat them up from the inside.
For the first time, possibly in history, women are admitting they want daughters, not sons.
Oh, don't worry. This is certainly going somewhere.
Having a son is seen as an extreme burden to women around the world.
Burdens? Really? And how is raising a son different than raising a daughter?
You are expected to birth them, educate them, and shield them from conditioning from other boys. All this without acknowledgement.
Oh, so some women want acknowledgement for being a good parent? You would think that just being a good parent would be reward enough in itself.
In fact, that very same son may grow up to take his mother's rights away.
Oh yes, there are a lot of individuals out there that will try to convince some women that they need to be fearful of their own children in the future. But may I be very specific? It's only the boys that they're talking about. They would never mention the girls.
Women globally are reaching a line of contention, refusing to give birth to life that may become a weapon against them, against other women. This is why movements like 4B exist.
Oh, because of ignorance, fear, and bigotry? Got it.
Women are refusing to birth their own oppressors.
See what I mean?
They are liberating themselves from a life of suffering. Sons are no longer the standard. Daughters are.
I wonder how long it's going to be before boy moms start being harassed for having boys. Oh, wait. In case some of you didn't notice, that's already happening.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
That woman sounds like a robot programmed to hate. What the hell is going on with women today, going against their own natural instincts? What's a little boy supposed to do with the trauma you went through with grown men? Since when did being a man become a crime? Now she's going after mothers of boys, blaming them for raising oppressors. This is sick, brothers. Fourth wave feminism is at its worst, infecting minds with twisted ideas that appeal to bitter women. Women who can't maintain healthy relationships or who wasted their fertility chasing empty radicalism. God, protect our boys from this toxicity. May they not grow up in a world where they're hated just for being born male.
Women don't need men. This comment says that women wouldn't last a day without men, and that is just not accurate. At this point, women have access to everything that men do, and we are doing better in certain areas. For example, we're more educated than men. Women comprise 58% of all college students. If we want to talk about single women specifically, single women own 2 million more homes than single men. And when it comes to women entering into relationships with men, on average, women spend 2 extra hours per day of unpaid domestic labor compared to men. And this labor can include grocery shopping, house cleaning, childcare, etc. So really, it seems like men are actually the ones that need women. And I'm going to try to be very clear when I explain this, but there was a time in history where women were nothing but property of their husbands. They could not get a higher education. They couldn't have their own bank accounts. They couldn't own land. It wasn't until 1974 that women could have their own credit cards, okay? 1974 was really not that long ago. The reason why women across America are scared of the election result is because of our reproductive rights. If a man can get a woman pregnant, if he can perform an act that essentially puts this woman's life at risk because she has pregnancy complications or because pregnancy is just in general dangerous, could possibly impact her mental health, could hinder her education, her career, make her financially dependent on him because she is forced to have this child. Women are not safe. All of these men in my comments laughing about the results, talking about your body, my choice, it is disgusting. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. Stop telling women that we are overreacting when we are reacting from a place of lived experiences and the knowledge of what women have done to get to this point and what is at stake.
You know when a civilization starts falling behind, when it constantly lives off past experiences it didn't even go through. Yes, it's true that women went through that historical process. But modern women aren't living in the era of feminism where they couldn't vote, even though they repeat that line like parrots. Tell me something new feminism has done for women today, besides complaining about men. What right do women not have right now? What kind of oppression is cleaning the house your man pays for, the house you live in? That's the bare minimum you can do. And let's be real, if men didn't exist, you'd still be living in caves. And when they brag about women in college, most are in low-value fields. Outside of becoming doctors, many end up as teachers or studying psychology, not to mention all the useless degrees like gender studies. Look at engineering, science, math, civil engineering, or construction. Those fields are overwhelmingly dominated by men. And that's even with fewer men going to college, since a lot of them don't want to drown in predatory student debt.
Women.
Something fascinating that I found out this year is that you don't have to date a man that hates you. I know. I was really shocked to learn about that too, because I always thought that you had to date a man who hated you and treated you terribly and made you miserable. But you actually just don't have to do that.
When I think about dating again, I think I'm too lazy. I think I thought I was done with that, and I really don't like dating. I don't like all of the bullshit get to know you conversations and then they don't go anywhere. I literally think I'm too lazy to date. I am too fucking lazy to date. So thanks, Max. Didn't ever want to do that again. So.
She's mad because Max left her. He was probably the Chad she actually wanted a relationship with, and now she has to start all over again. Classic pattern with women over 30, don't date men, I'm happy alone. All just coping because they can't get what they want. You know the saying, misery loves company. Men prefer real feminine energy, soft, joyful, no drama, no demands. But today, they're pushing the opposite, radical feminism, extreme independence. and they end up exposed at the wall, alone, bitter, and unwanted. Traditional women with values, home, respect, family, are rare gems these days. What's common are women like this one, and the one we'll see in the next video, complaining about men while sabotaging themselves. Brothers, the wall doesn't forgive.
Here are some signs that you are dating a loser. I have dated many losers in my life, so I am actually uniquely qualified to speak about this. If he slut shames you for the life that you had before him, loser! If he cannot execute. I mean, like, we love a methodical and thoughtful man, but if he is paralyzed with each decision that he has to make, and you are acting as his mommy, his manager, he's a loser. If he thinks he is the prize and always viewing the relationship through the lens of what you bring to the table and making you prove your worth and your value. That is a man who does not know how to put his own self-interest aside. He will not know how to put you first. He is a selfish man and he's a loser. A man who has a history of chronic reckless behavior like gambling, addiction. And listen, we know that sometimes life just gets you and you have to go through hard times. But if you are a woman who has everything figured out, like, you cannot be spending your time dating projects. Okay, and lastly, a man who loves to share traumatic stories to gain sympathy. Okay, this is very different from like if you are dating a guy and you guys are getting very close and you are being vulnerable with each other. No, this is very different from that. This is a man who is literally just trauma dumping on you for the purpose of soliciting sympathy from you. Like, oh my God, like all my exes are so crazy. Like, listen to all the shit that my exes did. Most of the time, he's only telling one story and he's probably in the wrong.
Stop dating men that do not come with a level up. As a woman, you are hypergamous, meaning you date up. You should not be dating men that you're on the same level as them. You should not be dating men that you're better than them. As a woman, a man is going to bring you to wherever his life is. You cannot bring a man up. He's going to bring you to where he is. So every man that you date, every man that you talk to, every man that you entertain should be a man that is providing a level up to your life. It should be like you're on stage 1, you meet him, you jump to stage 10. If you're dealing with guys and they can do the small little minor details and you're choosing to lock yourself down with a guy that is barely an increase to your lifestyle, to your mental health, to your financial state, you're not dating properly. Remember, you need to think about your children, the ones that you may already have and the ones that you will have, and your grandchildren. Stop dating men that are comfortable being in mediocrity. Stop dating men that are comfortable in being an average, and then you fall in love with him and now you want to encourage him to develop. Now you want him to try to be better than what he is. Get with the man that's already in the place to be able to level your entire lifestyle up. As soon as you are dating a man, as soon as he is in your sphere and around you, your life should become easier. Your life should become better. But if it is not, you're not dating properly. You need to be dating men only that make your life easier than what it is, that makes your life sweeter than what it is. Because remember, women are hypergamous, so stop dating on your same level and beneath you. Okay? Bye.
If you really pay attention to what all these women say, it always starts from the same selfish place. They get everything, and the man is the one expected to give nonstop. What the hell are they bringing to the table besides demands? And I'm not just talking about money, because if you, as a woman, are out here demanding an absolute winner, a man who's accomplished, confident, has a top job, and success all around, do you really think that kind of man won't want a real winner by his side too? Not a burden dressed up as a prize? Because they all rate themselves as a perfect 10, they all swear they won't settle for losers, and they all speak from this arrogant place of being some untouchable trophy. But when you see them in raw reality, they're not successful at anything. They don't show real acts of service for their man. They can't even cook a decent meal, yet they expect a man who's a 10 in every way. Look at truly successful men. Notice they always have a woman by their side who stepped into the role of a real partner, someone who pushed him to become his best self from the ground up. Not some opportunist waiting comfortably at the finish line to take credit for the winner and then pretend he succeeded because of her, when she was never there during the hard beginnings.
Stop doing things for your boyfriend, okay? This is a lesson I learned a little bit too late, and I want to share my perspective here. So I've been with my husband for 18 years now, but we met in high school. So we were very, very young when we met. And I stepped into this role very early on in our relationship where I would just do things for him to make his life easier or just to like make my life easier, right? And for example, in high school, that looked like me helping him with his homework or me helping write a paper or me just writing the paper because I knew that if I did that, it would make his life easier and it would also mean we had more time to hang out. And so I would do those things. But then that bled into our 20s where I would do things like remind him to renew his car registration. Like, hey, your car needs to be registered. Hey, don't forget. And then ultimately I would just do it because I'm like, okay, well, we need the car registered. I don't want to get pulled over. So here's your registration, right? And I would start to do these things. And what happened was I essentially slipped into the role that his mom used to fill, right? Like that's what a mom does. That's what I do for my kids. I'm like, hey, get your shoes on. Hey, don't forget your homework. Like, hey, let me help you with this because I'm their mother, right? But as a teenage girl and a woman in my 20s, I just kind of like slid into that role. And it set this really bad precedent. It showed him that if he didn't do something, I ultimately would. And it really didn't cause any issues in our teens or our 20s. But when we had kids, let me tell you, the resentment built up. I couldn't stand him for a couple years because I felt so frustrated that I had become the default for everything, not just for him, but also for our kids, right? It set this really bad standard and it never allowed him to step into a role of owning his own shit, right? Doing his own stuff. And I think it's something that often happens to women when they date men, especially in their 20s, where these men have gone from living in their mom's house, living in a college dorm, to living on their own maybe, and then having this girlfriend who's like, okay, well, I don't want you to like, you know, fall off the face of the earth and not have a car to drive, so let me step in and help you do these things. But I can't tell you how many women I know now who are married to men and they have to remind them to renew their license. They have to remind them to get a card for their mom for Mother's Day. Like, right, I don't want that. I don't have that anymore. Thank God I was able to, you know, essentially stop all of that with my partner. But it is something that happens like really subtly when you start dating, where you like do these things to make their lives easier. And then it becomes an expectation. And then you learn to resent your partner and they learn that they don't have to do anything. And so it's incredibly important. It's like one of my like top pieces of advice. I have a few, but this is one of my top pieces of advice, which is just stop doing things for your boyfriend that he can do for himself. Don't do things for your boyfriend that he can do for himself, right? It is okay to do acts of kindness. It is okay to do kind things for your partner. It's okay to make their life easier, but don't take on everything for them that they can do for themselves. Because ultimately, it was never meant to be your job, right? No one person should carry that load for two people. There's two people for a reason. And so they can renew their registration. They can do their own homework. They can, you know, do whatever they need to do on their own, make their own doctor's appointments. Like, you don't have to do those things for them. Let them do those things, because if you don't, and you decide to have kids with this person, I can tell you it will lead to resentment when you are doing this, not only for your children as a mother, but for your husband as his partner, but acting like his mother.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
In short, during the early years, you were the ideal wife, the true partner this man needed. Until you became radicalized and stopped doing anything for the man who fully provides for you. The man who pays for everything. The man who put a roof over your head. The man whose hard work for 18 years has spared you from ever having to deal with a boss. You've got a credit card to spend on whatever you like, time to hit the gym, time with your kids, a nice vehicle, and you don't have to stress about making the payments. All thanks to that man, who didn't grow resentful even when having kids meant more financial pressure on him. He still gets up every morning to make sure you lack nothing. And yet, you complain about having to say something as simple as remember to renew the car registration, something that happens once a year. A medical appointment, something you should help him with, because if he gets sick, your dream life goes straight off a cliff. And now you go around telling women to be who you are today, instead of who you were when you built that perfect marriage. Honestly, that's exactly why more and more men would rather have a woman who works and just handle their own lives. Because women today don't appreciate it, and they act like they were the only ones who made the relationship work.
Women.
After another man wasted my time during a talking stage, I honestly don't know if I want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I give up. I'm not doing another talking stage. I am done dating. That's why I don't be telling my mom or my friends anymore about any of these little situations, because it's like I could go on a couple dates and then they could ask me about it the next week and I'll be like, who? Oh yeah, we stopped talking already. Like, no, that was a doozy. A doozy. It's really not easy out here because you will go on a date with a guy and maybe it'll go great. Maybe the second date will go great. But then by the third date, he'll either say something or stop trying to take you out, give you sketchy vibes. I am good on all that. Thank you very much. Next. I literally have a picture of exactly what I want, the exact kind of man I want. It has nothing to do with what he looks like. I could literally transfer, like Build-A-Bear, the little qualities that I want in a man and put it in literally anyone, and I would probably fall in love with him. Why we just have to keep trying. I mean, literally by like the 500th guy, and I will be waiting until that. Otherwise, I will be alone, happily alone.
What really happened is simple. After 2 dates, the messages, the time, the effort, and the courtship that man invested, he realized you weren't genuinely interested. Either you were using him, just wanted attention, or you simply weren't the kind of woman suited for something serious. And when a man picks up on that, he doesn't argue, doesn't fight, and doesn't explain. He walks away. Remember, men walk away in silence. Women walk away with noise.
This is my advice for women who want to be insanely successful and want to win and get to their bag and make their own money and do their own thing. Don't date men. Don't date right now. Just don't date. I want to talk about this because it's a touchy subject, but I just personally believe that if you're trying to like really make it as a woman, you can't date a man at the same time and do that. And here's why. Men are very, very, very distracting. And they're also like energy soul sucking people, right? So when women date men or they have a boyfriend, just naturally, like, we're nurturers, right? So we want to nurture them, take care of them. Like, that's just how we are. Well, that's how I am. I can't speak for everybody else, but that's how I am. And when you step back and decenter men from your life and make yourself like the center of your entire world and make the priority of your entire existence you and becoming successful, the success will come so much faster. I stopped dating about 2 years ago. I have not dated anyone in 2 years, and how drastically different my life has become for the better is quite literally insane. I don't even know how to explain it. I make so much money, way more money than I ever did when I was dating anyone. Career took off through the freaking roof. And the only thing that I can say to that is that I literally decentered men from my life, made my life only about me and my family and my success. And I instantly saw the change. I'm 28 years old. I made my first $100,000 in the stock market this year. Growing a business, financially doing so well. Business is going great. And I'm not dating. I literally don't go. I can't even tell you the last time I went on a date, ladies. Like, and I'm not saying, you know, if you want to, be my guest, but I'm telling you right now, my biggest advice to any young woman who's really trying to make it out the mud, don't date. It's just a distraction. It's a distraction. And then when that man doesn't work out, you're going to sit back and think, wow, all of that time I spent with him, I could have been focusing on me, myself, and my business. And then you're pissed off. So instead, just don't do it all together. And then when you become super successful and you have everything you want and, you know, you think that it's your time, then you can start dating. But advice for girls who are trying to make it, don't. Just don't.
See what I told you? Once they hit their 30s and crash into the wall, the whole narrative changes. But hey, congrats to her. You became the man you wanted to marry. What I will say is this. The higher a woman climbs on the corporate ladder, the lower her chances are of finding a partner. Her circle gets smaller, and her dating pool dries up. And take note of the kind of men she ends up attracting, guys looking to benefit financially from her. High-value men aren't too keen on dating women with boss energy because they don't know how to leave that energy at the office. That kind of woman usually ends up being the hardest to deal with. That's why she talks the way she does. That's why no one's asking her out. But hey, congrats again. Now you can be with yourself and with the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. If a woman's had 500 tries and is still single, are men really the problem? Or is it her standards and her attitude? Why is it that a woman can proudly call herself hypergamous and demand a man who's above her, but gets offended when a man also expects a woman who brings something to the table? If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your support means a lot to us and keeps us motivated to keep creating more content. Stay tuned for the next episode of The Wall.